I, 42F, need to get this off my chest because the situation has gotten way out of hand. My cousin Pamela, 35F, has been blowing up my phone saying I destroyed her relationship and turned her whole family against her. I honestly didn't mean for any of this to happen, but looking back, I probably should have seen the signs earlier. Pamela and I grew up together and were really close as kids. Our mothers are sisters and we lived just a few streets apart. Over the years though, we drifted apart as Pamela developed what I can only describe as a controlling personality. She went through a rough divorce 8 years ago, and since then, she's been living with her boyfriend Tom, 28M, their 1-year-old daughter Emma, and her 3 kids from her previous marriage, twins Jack and James, 15M, and their sister Katie, 13F. Tom seems like a genuinely good guy. He's been with Pamela for 6 years and works as an over-the-road truck driver to support the whole family. He usually stays out for 4 to 6 weeks at a time, which means Pamela handles most of the day-to-day parenting. I hadn't seen them in person for about 2 years due to living in a different state, but when Pamela insisted I stay at her place for Thanksgiving instead of my dad's house, I agreed thinking it would be nice to catch up. The problem started the moment I walked through the door. The first thing I noticed was how Pamela treated her older kids. She had Jack cleaning the gutters while James was mowing the lawn and Katie was inside doing laundry and cooking dinner. Now, I'm all for teaching kids responsibility, but this felt different. These kids weren't just doing chores, they were running the entire household while Pamela sat on the couch scrolling through her phone and barking orders. The day before Thanksgiving, I watched as the twins took turns caring for baby Emma while trying to finish their homework. Katie was practically a mini-maid, cooking, cleaning, and doing everything her mother should have been doing. When I tried to help Katie with dinner, Pamela snapped at me saying her kids needed to learn responsibility and I shouldn't interfere with her parenting. Thanksgiving Day itself went smoothly mainly because Tom was home and took charge of most things. The kids seemed more relaxed with him around, and even Pamela was less demanding. After dinner, the twins went to spend the weekend with their dad, and Katie went to a friend's house for a sleepover. That's when I saw the real Pamela come out. Tom had just gotten back from a 6-week haul and was clearly exhausted. The poor guy hadn't even had time to unpack his bags when Pamela started demanding he do the dishes, clean the house, and take care of Emma all at once. When he calmly explained that he was trying to spend some time with Emma after being gone for so long, Pamela exploded. She started screaming at him about how she had to handle everything while he was gone, how he was lazy and useless, and how he needed to pull his weight around the house. Tom just stood there, gently bouncing Emma while Pamela ranted. I couldn't stand seeing him treated that way, so I offered to watch Emma so he could get some things done. Big mistake. Pamela turned her rage on me, saying I needed to mind my own business and stop undermining her authority in her own house. She accused me of trying to make her look like a bad mother and said I had no right to interfere with her family. I backed off, but the situation just kept getting worse. The next day, Jack texted saying he was staying another night at Tom's parents' house. He had been working a college football game with Tom's family, and since it was already 9 p.m., his ride didn't feel comfortable driving him home so late. It seemed like a perfectly reasonable situation, the kid was safe with family, it was late, and he'd be home the next day. But Pamela completely lost it. She demanded Tom drive an hour each way to bring Jack home immediately. When Tom suggested letting him stay the night since he was safe and with family, Pamela went ballistic. She started screaming so loud I'm sure the neighbors heard every word. She called Tom worthless, accused him of trying to turn her kids against her, and said he was a terrible father to Emma. Tom looked defeated but grabbed his keys to go get Jack. As soon as he left, Pamela snatched Emma and stormed off to their bedroom, still yelling about what a disappointment Tom was and how no one respected her authority. The baby was crying, probably scared by all the screaming, but Pamela didn't seem to care. I couldn't take it anymore. The verbal abuse, the way she treated her kids like servants, the constant screaming, it was too much. I packed my bags and went to my dad's house, leaving a brief note thanking her for her hospitality. I forgot my watch that was charging in the guest room, so I had to go back the next morning to get it. That's when I found out Tom hadn't just gone to get Jack, he had packed up some of his and Jack's things and left. He sent Pamela a text saying he couldn't take the abuse anymore and needed space to think about their relationship. He also said he was taking Emma to stay with his parents until they could figure things out. Pamela completely lost it. She started calling and texting me nonstop, saying I had poisoned Tom against her and encouraged him to leave. She accused me of trying to steal her boyfriend, despite the 14-year age gap and the fact that I've been happily single. She's blocked me on all social media, but her kids are posting horrible things about me, clearly repeating whatever lies Pamela is telling them. The worst part is that some of our family is actually believing her version of events. My aunt, Pamela's mom, called me in tears, asking how I could break up her daughter's family right before Christmas. When I tried to explain what really happened, she accused me of being jealous of Pamela's relationship. I know I probably should have kept my mouth shut and just endured the drama until my visit was over. But watching someone being verbally abused while everyone else acts like it's normal just didn't sit right with me. Pamela's behavior was toxic and abusive, and while I never told Tom to leave, I can't say I'm sorry he finally stood up for himself. Ida for leaving and inadvertently giving Tom the courage to stand up for himself? Update 1: Things have gotten even messier since my last post, and I need to share what's been happening because it's honestly worse than I initially thought. The whole situation has revealed some dark truths about Pamela that none of us knew about. Last week, I received a friend request on Facebook from Linda, 54F, Tom's mother. At first, I was hesitant to accept it given all the drama, but I'm glad I did. She sent me a long message thanking me for being kind to her son during my stay. According to Linda, they had been watching Pamela's abusive behavior escalate for years, but Tom always made excuses for her and begged them not to interfere. Linda shared some disturbing details about their relationship. Apparently, whenever Tom was on the road, Pamela would constantly call him while he was driving, accusing him of cheating and demanding he prove where he was. If he missed a call because he was sleeping or driving, she would blow up his phone with threatening messages. Tom stayed through all of this because he loved Emma and the other kids, and Pamela had repeatedly threatened that he would never see Emma again if he left. The most shocking revelation came when Linda told me about Pamela's pattern of behavior. This wasn't her first relationship to implode this way. Her marriage to the twins and Katie's father ended under similar circumstances, but Pamela had managed to spin the story so everyone believed he was the abusive one. Linda found this out from Tom's sister, who works with the ex-husband's current wife. Linda shared screenshots of text messages Pamela had sent Tom over the years. They were horrible. She would call him worthless, say no one else would ever want him, tell him he was a terrible father, and threaten to destroy his relationship with Emma. Some messages were sent while he was literally driving his truck, putting his life at risk because she knew he would feel compelled to respond. The real gut punch came yesterday when Jack, one of the twins, messaged me on Instagram. His message started with an apology for the nasty things he had posted about me. He explained that Pamela had forced them to write those posts, standing over their shoulders and dictating what to say. She had told them I was trying to break up their family and had been flirting with Tom the entire time I was there. Jack confessed that he was actually relieved when Tom left because he couldn't stand watching history repeat itself. He said Pamela treated their dad the same way before their divorce, but they were too young then to understand what was happening. Now that they're older, they recognize the pattern of abuse. He also revealed that Pamela had been telling the kids that Tom was cheating on her with me, which explained why they had been so hostile. I decided to share these messages with my Aunt Mary, Pamela's mom, hoping she would finally see the truth about her daughter. I thought the evidence from multiple sources would help her understand what was really going on. I was wrong. Instead of listening, she accused me of working with Tom to fabricate evidence to make Pamela look bad. She said I was just jealous because Pamela had managed to find a younger, hardworking man while I was still single at my age. The irony of her not realizing this exactly proved I wasn't interested in Tom completely escaped her. Somehow Pamela found out about my conversations with Linda and Jack. She showed up at my office yesterday, screaming about how I was conspiring with her enemies to destroy her life. She caused such a scene that security had to escort her out. Now she's threatening to sue me for defamation, claiming I'm spreading lies about her to destroy her reputation and take her children away. The kids are caught in the middle of all this chaos. The twins are barely speaking to Pamela now, especially after she tried to confiscate their phones to prevent them from contacting Tom or their dad. Katie, the younger sister, is still completely under Pamela's influence, repeating her mom's version of events to anyone who will listen. Tom is trying to get partial custody of Emma, but Pamela is making it as difficult as possible, missing scheduled handoffs and making false allegations about his parenting. This morning, I got a call from my cousin Mike, Pamela's brother, telling me I need to fix this situation because Pamela has been calling their parents multiple times a day, crying about how I destroyed her life. He suggested I should just apologize to keep the peace, even if I didn't mean it. When I refused, he called me selfish and said I was tearing the family apart. I honestly don't know what to do anymore. Part of me wants to show everyone the evidence I have of Pamela's behavior, but I'm worried that would only make things worse for the kids. They're already dealing with enough trauma without their mom's abusive behavior being exposed to the entire family. At the same time, I'm tired of being painted as the villain in this story when all I did was refuse to ignore abuse. Tom's lawyer advised him not to have any direct contact with me until after the custody hearings, which I completely understand. But through Linda, I know he's doing better now that he's away from Pamela's influence. He's taken a local route so he can be more present for Emma, and he's working with his lawyer to document all of Pamela's past abuse. The whole situation is just getting worse by the day, and I have a feeling this is just the beginning of a very ugly battle. Update 2: I never expected this story to take such a dark turn. What happened last week has changed everything, and the truth about Pamela is finally coming out in ways none of us anticipated. James, one of the twins, finally broke down and told their dad Greg everything that had been happening in Pamela's house. Not just the verbal abuse we all witnessed, but years of neglect and manipulation that none of us knew about. He revealed how Pamela would regularly leave baby Emma with the teenagers for days at a time while she went out partying, claiming she needed mental health breaks. The kids were afraid to say anything because Pamela threatened to send them to a boarding school in another state if they ever told anyone about what happened at home. The twins and Katie had been covering for their mom for years. When Tom was on the road, Pamela would disappear for days, leaving the kids to care for Emma and themselves. They used their allowance and money from their part-time jobs to buy groceries because Pamela spent all the household money Tom sent on gambling. James showed his dad their text conversations where they would coordinate who would watch Emma, cook meals, and handle the housework while their mom was gone. Greg immediately contacted his lawyer and filed for emergency custody. During the hearing, years of Pamela's manipulation and abuse came to light. The judge was especially concerned about evidence showing Pamela had been forging Tom's signature on documents while he was on his long-haul trips. She had opened credit cards in his name and racked up massive debt, which Tom only discovered after he left. But the most shocking revelation came from Tom himself through his lawyer. Early in their relationship, when Tom had talked about taking a better-paying job that would keep him away from home longer, Pamela claimed she was pregnant to make him stay. She then faked a miscarriage a few weeks later, only to actually get pregnant with Emma a few months after that. The timing of all this came out because she had accidentally admitted it in text messages to a friend, which Tom's lawyer obtained during discovery. The evidence of Pamela's gambling addiction was overwhelming. Bank statements showed she had been withdrawing large sums of money from Tom's account at local casinos. When the kids needed things for school or sports, she would tell them Tom hadn't sent enough money, forcing them to either go without it or use their own money. All while Tom was sending more than enough to cover all household expenses. When confronted with all this evidence in court, Pamela showed absolutely no remorse. Instead, she had a complete meltdown, screaming about how everyone was conspiring against her and how we would all regret this. She accused me, Tom, Greg, and even her own kids of plotting to destroy her life. The judge had to threaten her with contempt of court to get her to calm down. Greg was granted full custody of the twins and Katie. Tom has filed for full custody of Emma and is pressing charges for identity theft and fraud. The kids are now living with Greg full-time and are starting counseling to deal with the trauma of growing up with Pamela. Even Katie, who was previously defending her mom, finally broke down and admitted how afraid she had been all these years. Our entire family is in shock. My aunt and uncle, who had been Pamela's biggest defenders, finally had to face the truth about their daughter when they saw the evidence in court. They found out Pamela had also stolen money from them, forging checks from their account. The realization that they had enabled her behavior for years has hit them hard. Pamela has been calling everyone in the family, trying to get them to take her side, but this time no one is buying her lies. The evidence is too clear, and her behavior in court showed everyone her true colors. She's been ordered to stay away from both Tom's and Greg's homes, and any contact with the kids has to be supervised. The saddest part in all of this is seeing how relieved the kids are to be away from her. They're finally able to just be teenagers instead of having to be parents to their younger sister and caretakers of their household. Tom is working with his lawyer to help the twins and Katie recover the money Pamela took from them, though no one expects to see much of it returned. I still can't believe how much damage Pamela managed to hide for so long, or how many people she hurt while maintaining an image of being a struggling single mom doing her best. The truth is finally out, but the aftermath is affecting everyone involved. Update 3: This will be my final update because I think it's time to close this chapter. The situation with Pamela has gotten both better and worse, if that makes any sense. After losing custody of all her kids, Pamela's behavior became increasingly erratic and concerning. About 2 weeks ago, she showed up at Tom's parents' house at 3 a.m., completely drunk. She started banging on their door, screaming that she wanted to see Emma. When they refused to let her in, Emma wasn't even there. She was at Tom's new place. Pamela tried to break down their door with a gardening tool she found in their yard. The neighbors called the police, and she was arrested for attempted breaking and entering, vandalism, and disturbing the peace. This wasn't her first incident since the custody hearings. She had been showing up at Greg's house during the twins and Katie's school hours, leaving threatening notes in their mailbox. She even tried to pick Katie up from school one day, causing such a scene that the school had to go into lockdown. After the incident at Tom's parents' house, both families were able to get restraining orders against her. Pamela is now facing criminal charges for the break-in attempt, violating the custody agreement, and the financial fraud against Tom. The judge has ordered her to complete anger management classes and seek addiction treatment if she wants any chance of supervised visits with the kids. So far, she's refused to comply, insisting that she's the victim in all this. The kids are doing much better away from her influence. The twins have joined their school's football team, something Pamela never allowed because she claimed they needed to be home to help with Emma. Katie is finally able to spend time with friends instead of being stuck at home doing housework. Their grades have improved significantly now that they're not exhausted from running the household. Tom has found a local driving route that lets him be home every night with Emma. He's also started taking parenting classes, not because he needs to, but because he wants to be the best father he can be for her. The courts have granted him primary custody, with Pamela only allowed supervised visits after she completes her court-ordered programs. Most of our family has finally seen Pamela for who she really is. My aunt and uncle apologized to me for not believing me earlier. They admitted they had enabled Pamela's behavior for years, always making excuses for her actions and bailing her out of trouble. They're now in contact with Greg and Tom, trying to build relationships with their grandchildren without Pamela's interference. Pamela still maintains that I'm the one who destroyed her life. She creates new social media accounts every few days to harass me, blaming me for turning her kids and family against her. I've had to change my phone number and increase security at my workplace because of her harassment. I've gone low contact with most of that side of the family. Not because I'm angry, but because I need some distance from the whole situation. The kids know they can reach out to me anytime, and I still see them when I visit my dad, but I'm done being in the middle of family drama. Sometimes I wonder if things would have been different if I had spoken up about Pamela's behavior years ago. But I realize now that Pamela's actions are her own responsibility. She chose to abuse and manipulate the people around her, and now she's facing the consequences of those choices. The silver lining in all this is that 5 kids, including Emma, are finally in a healthy environment where they can just be kids. Sometimes the best thing you can do is step back and let toxic people face the consequences of their own actions.